was going to do this as a live, and my garden doesn't have good service. So I'll just show you and tell you and post it. But basically, these beds are from last year. They're only 1 year in. And this one grew tomatoes last year, really prolific cherry tomatoes. And then some corn down here on this end. But you can clearly see that the weeds are abundant in this bed. Now, let me show you something that I love though. Because this bed is raised, the dirt is not compacted. So you're just able to literally pull on like a handful of these weeds and get all of their root systems out. And I don't know about you guys, but that definitely makes it a heck of a lot easier time when it comes to weeding, because everything gets weeds. And really, if I'd have weeded this a lot sooner than now, it would not be this bad. But I didn't. I've been gone, and it is what it is. But I came out here dreading this because I just knew that all of this was going to be super hard to weed. Like, I saw it and I was like, great, I'm just going to shovel that dirt out. Because we did have 2 beds that were full of Bermuda. And if you know anything about Bermuda, you know that basically it does not come out. So we did go ahead and go buy some extra dirt this year and refill 2 of our beds, because they were just, there was no way I was battling the Bermuda. So we shoveled them all the way out until they were at the ground, and then we replaced the dirt in those beds. But guys, look at that. How often can you say that you can walk out into your in the ground garden and have that happen? I mean, I can tell you that I hate weeding with a passion, so much so that I even push mow my garden now instead of weed it, just because there's not enough time in the day. Our ground grows so many weeds. But I was going to get on here and show you guys. Okay, so like after I do this, Stony will come in. Let me show you. There it is. Okay, so Stony has started coming in to my beds. And once we weed them, he takes our forky thing and just breaks all the soil up. And all that is tomato roots from last year. But I did just weed this bed, and I guarantee you I pulled out over 100 weeds, and it was so easy. But doing this right here and breaking up your soil helps tremendously. Not only does it break it up, but it allows you to re-rake it out and re-level your bed. Like we just weeded this one, and he broke it up. This was one of the beds that we ended up cleaning out, these back 2 right here. This one and this one. Because I kid you not, there was just so much Bermuda. And we ended up throwing it into my side bed, most of the dirt, which is just where I grow flowers. So it's okay if that's weedy. I mean, would I like it to be weedy? No, but it's okay if it is, because I'm not going to be able to prevent the weeds from growing in from that side of the garden anyway. And he also threw it in here with this. And you will see this has multiple piles of mulch. That is because that's where we grew our garden last year. And we're going to amend it and let it rest. So we put mulch on it to break down. And we let chickens and our ducks and stuff run on it. And we have all these corn stalks still that need to be brush hogged down. And they will get broke down and become good things for the garden. They'll put nutrients back in. But a lot of this is perfectly fine. And I'm actually getting ready to plant my flowers over here. If you remember last year, we said we didn't know what to grow in this lick tub. Guys, we did not. This year, we decided to give potatoes a go in here. And apparently Stoney said he planted like 50 potatoes in here just because he didn't have anywhere to put them. So, I mean, we're going to have a whole bunch of potatoes in this bucket. Now, all of my herb stalks, almost all of them need replanted. There's our chives. And then I think we have thyme, oregano, and sage that live. We need to replant like basil, parsley, those kind of things. And we had some volunteer lettuce. Yes, that's a good plant. And this bed right here, I actually did nothing to yet. We just pulled up the tomato plants. And I mean, look at how awesome this bed looks. There's not hardly any weeds. I mean, there's a few little ones. And this one's the same way. But I mean, honestly, the beds that we did properly and put down the weed barrier, and we didn't add that straw to the straw right here, did really well. Now this bed is my strawberries, and it is going to grow an insane amount of grass, and I'll just have to pull it because the straw really helps keep the moisture content good for this bed. But like, here's some of the grass. Hang on, that's a weed. But right here is some of the grass that it grows in this bed. But it just gets growing, and then it like grows like crazy. And that came out of the seeds of this. I guess we thought it was straw, but I think it's hay more like. Because it came with a bunch of seeds, and it's really not good for my strawberry bed. But they do okay battling out some weeds. So I'm not too concerned. And they are really pretty easy to pull up. I mean, if you go through and pull them up as they're growing. Not once they take over your bed, which is what I'm bad about. And let me see what else I can show you. Oh, we have started our carrots. I did not cover them this year when I seeded them, so we're going to have to go through and reseed. But several patches did sprout. They're just definitely not enough to leave and mess with as saying that, hey, I have a harvest of carrots. So we're definitely going to have to go back through and reseed the carrots. There is also a lot of weeds on this end. A lot of those water weeds, and they're kind of hard to pull up if you're trying not to disperse your carrots. So I have to be really careful with that. These little fluffy things are my perennial flowers that came back that I planted over here, and they battled the weeds just fine. Here are Stoney's onions. We have got broccoli started right there, and you can see we also have lettuce and a turnip or two. They're not a turnip, a radish, sorry. And then these, of course, are potatoes again. And they are taking off. We were super worried. Okay, guys, we literally bought 2 different 50-pound bags, and they almost both ruined. Because we didn't have our tractor to break up the big garden. And we weren't wanting to cut them up and get them ready to plant until we had the big garden broke up. Because we just knew that if we cut them up, they were going to start going bad faster. But lo and behold, we cut them up anyway and planted just in our barrels because we had given up on getting our tractor back from the shop. Like, we've been waiting on it for like 4 months. And we actually finally got it back, and Stoney was able to break up the garden, which we need to hand till it, but he was able to break it up. So that was the important part, because then he hand tilled where he planned to plant. Also, he broke my fence with his tractor. That happened, and now there's a fancy gate. So, aka a hole in the fence. But he planted 2 mounds of potatoes, and we're going to hope that they grow, because we really don't know if they were already too dry to be planted. That was why we didn't want to cut them up, because it took another week before he was able to plant them. Now that I say that, though, is this a tomato? Or a potato, not a tomato. No, it's not. It's a piece of moss. So, we're just going to hope and watch and pray that the potatoes show up. And if not, we'll have our couple buckets like always. Katie, what are you doing?
Oh.
Yeah, that's Daddy's plants. You're stepping on them. Go around. Katie has to learn garden etiquette this year now that she's finally big enough, which is to only go where Mommy and Daddy go and walk around. Very good. And she was in here chasing the kitty cats a while ago. Come on, my love. Come on, go around them. Good girl. Yeah. And she is, as all Arkansas babies should be, barefoot. So I just thought I'd hop on here and show y'all. We've got a lot of stuff growing. We've got a lot of seeds started, and I am weeding beds because that is the next step to be able to get things into the garden. So, love you guys. Hope you enjoyed this. This Super Soul is really, really good. This bed we just came through and topped back off because it was kind of shallow. Like we ran out of dirt last year, so we just filled them kind of shallow. So we're topping them off this year. But otherwise, they're really easy to weed. And it's really nice to not be digging in the hard compacted dirt. So I'm going to get off here and get this bed done.